chance together. Those are all the conversations. How's everybody doing today? Fine. All right. First of all, we want to welcome and thank the first congressional district candidates for coming today to this forum. I want to thank the guests and the community for showing up to have this important conversation and continue to engage these candidates. And we want to thank the following sponsors: Kayla Goodwin, Julie Pansinka, I knew I was going to City Councilman Vernon Donovan. And special thanks to Nisha Gistino and Bryan Indivisible for hosting this event in this community. Bryan Indivisible was created to peacefully stand against injustice, defend equal rights for all people, and protect the principles of our Constitution. They are a nonpartisan movement committed to accountability, fairness, and the rule of law. Through civic engagement, public awareness, and lawful protest, they seek to uphold democratic values and ensure that freedom, equality, and justice are not eroded for any community, now or in the future. So let's talk about how today will go. There will be a couple of questions that we'll ask everybody. You'll be allotted 1 minute to introduce yourself, and then we'll go into a space where we will ask you questions and you'll raise your what do you call it? Paddle. And it will be the yes or no, right? So you'll be answering yes or no questions. After that, we'll go into a couple of questions that will come from the community. I think I'm gonna go a little off track here. I do want to offer you guys an opportunity to go a little bit more in depth, whoever may want to do that, on these questions, okay? Is that cool? So if I ask a question and you say, hey, I want to add a little bit more to that, you can go ahead and engage that conversation. I will recognize you, but I don't want y'all to fight, okay? All right.
Are you talking about the paddle?
Yes, the paddle.
Okay, so you said here,
I'm sorry.
you can add further from the
Yes.
paddle. Okay.
All right. So, I want to give each candidate an opportunity to introduce themselves. First, we will start with Mr. Daniels.
Well, good evening. My name is DeFonzio Daniels. I'm a resident of Camden County, Georgia, and thanks for the travel. Every 3 days, it's amazing. Got 40,000 miles on my truck. But anyways, the reason why I decided to join this campaign, run for this district, is because of the people of Georgia's 1st Congressional District. I was looking for other candidates to run for the State House, knowing that we need to fill these seats for our state in order for us to move and progress forward. So that was my primary efforts. But in those same efforts, people just started asking me to run for this district because of representation. So representation matters to me and everybody else, and then that's why I ran, so that I can answer the call of the people. That's it.
All right, it's Amanda Hollowell.
Good evening. Thank you guys all for hosting this. I know y'all finally got it all together and you're brand new, so I love that kind of organizing and community build. That's amazing. My name is Amanda Hollowell, and I'm working to be your next Congresswoman of the 1st Congressional District. I've lived here I've raised my whole son here, who's 24 years old. I brought my dad here. I take care of him. He was being a little difficult today, so I take care of my veteran dad. But more than anything, I'm just really excited to think about the possibilities that we have in this moment, that we can elect a candidate that is solutions first and people first. And we can stop the next Buddy Carter. We don't have to go with the same, but we can also work together as a community to make sure that we are represented wholly in the 1st Congressional District about healthcare, about education, about the fight around the budget, and more so about our civil rights and our voting rights that are being rolled back. And so I just want to thank you all for the opportunity. My name is Amanda Hollowell, and I'm excited to run for Congress for y'all. Thank you.
Thank you, Amanda. Michael McCord.
Hey guys, I'm Michael McCord, and I consider myself a common sense Democrat. I used to say moderate, they got me in trouble. I'm endorsed by Wade Herring and John Barrow and 15 other elected officials all across the county, and I will be your next congressman. We have flyers back there, and I'm going to look forward to answering your questions. I'm not going to give a long introduction today.
All right. We're looking at Joyce Marie Griggs. Yes.
Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you all for having us here. I am Joyce Marie Griggs, the Combat Veteran, Bronze Star recipient, airborne. In any event, yes, I run before. Some people try to use it against me, but guess what? Each time we ran, we got better and better. We got 43% the last time I ran against the incumbent. In any event, I am vying to be your next congresswoman because you need someone in Washington that will be a strong voice for the people in this first congressional district. Someone that has experience. You see, I have an array of experience. I got receipts to prove what I've done. I've been through this district. I've walked this district. I've lived this district. I felt the pain of the people in this district. So I am the better candidate because I have receipts. I've done this before. I know how to do it, and I am for the people. Let me say that. I want to point out one thing. I'm not a politician. I am a servant. And when you go to the polls, if you haven't been already, I ask that you vote for me. I'm a fighter. Combat ready, proven, and tested. Thank you very much.
All right. Mr. Joey Palimeno. Did I say that right?
Yeah, you got it.
All right.
How y'all doing tonight? My name is Joey Palimeno. I'm 35 years old. Just turned 35. Sorry about that. I'm from Camden County, Georgia. Working class father of 4 kids. What inspired me to step in this race was my son was born with Down syndrome. At 4 years old, he was diagnosed with leukemia right before COVID hit. Had he not had Down syndrome, I probably would have lost my best friend due to cancer. So that got me thinking, and I talked to my families in the hospital up there. It just taught me how overall broken our healthcare system is. And that's one of the big reasons I stepped in to run for election, is to change our healthcare system, make an economy that works for all of us, not just for the wealthy, because our country right now is under threat, not just from Donald Trump, but from wealthy from politicians on both sides of the aisle who serve the same corporate donors. And so again, that all inspired me to just do something better. We're represented mainly by millionaires. I know what problems we face because I face the same struggles y'all do every day, whether it's to keep food on the table, pay the light bills with Georgia Power. That's get very, very expensive. So I know y'all struggles firsthand. I know how to fix them, and that's what inspired me to step in the race.
Ms. Sharon Stokes Williamson.
Hello, good evening, everyone, and thank you for the opportunity to allow us to have this moment to share out and talk about the issues that are facing our families here in Georgia. I am Dr. Sharon Stokes Williamson. Please call me Sharon. That's what I answer to. It's just that people fuss at me on the campaign trail. You don't tell me you're a doctor. I'm not a medical doctor. I'm Dr. Public Health. But the reason why I decided to run, it wasn't until 1 year ago last year when I lost my job. I don't know if you heard the story over and over again, but I guess I have to tell it because it's the truth. It wasn't until I lost my job that I had a lived experience. I knew what it felt like to now lose a really, when you lose an income that's in 6 figures, that's a big hit. It's a big hit when you're used to living in a certain, not living above your means, but having things that you need in your life, okay? And when you lose all those things, you lose your health insurance. You have to decide whether or not you're going to have your mammogram, or you're going to have a swap out medical appointment. You have to decide which ones are important. When you're paying your office visits, but you're worried that, well, if I can pay my office visits, I just don't want to go to the hospital. I can pay the office visits, but I don't want to get sick and go to the hospital. So having those lived experiences is what brought me here in front of you. I'm not a politician. I'm a social worker. I'm a public health professional. I have worked for 35 years in this district. I served 3 districts. I worked in every county at the regional level, and I worked at the state level for a very, very long time until I moved into more of a national scale. So thank you for allowing me to speak.
Thank you so much. Patrick Wilbur.
Thank you all for having us tonight. My name is Pat Wilver. I'm a West Point and Army Ranger School graduate. I was stationed at Fort Stewart in 2014. That's what brought me down here. I was an infantry officer in 1st Battalion, 30th Infantry Regiment there. I left the Army in 2019 and started a small business in Savannah where I've lived ever since. My campaign is really focused on the biggest voting bloc in this district, and it's not Republican, it's non-voters. Non-voters are the primary bloc that make up this district, and people have not been voting because they have not believed that there was a point in going to vote, because they have seen that people go cast a vote and representatives in Congress do not represent them. Why? Because of the influence of money in our political system. And I think before we get to fixing any of the issues that need to be fixed, and there are a lot of them, then we have got to get the influence of money out. And that is why my primary focus is overturning Citizens United by constitutional amendment. I think nothing else matters until we do that. That is my focus. I also believe that we need strong progressive policy for our young. That means universal health care. That means free public university and trade schools so that people can start out their lives without having a death sentence. Lastly, I believe we need to protect our environment. I'm for very strong environmental protection, strengthening the Clean Water and Clean Air Act, ending this overdevelopment of our wetlands, and I think I'm out of time. I would love to answer your questions later.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Last but not least, Randy Zurcher. More.
Thanks for having us. My name's Randy Zurcher. I grew up in small town Oklahoma, and I moved to, when I was 26 years old, I was elected to Fayetteville, Arkansas City Council. I did it twice. I moved to Savannah in 2003. I worked for the Teachers Union, the Savannah Federation of Teachers. I've done that for a total of 9 years. I got into this race because of Buddy Carter. I've been part of a group that's been picketing his office for the last 14 months, trying to get him to do an in-person town hall meeting, just the basics of the job, and he wanted to do it. But here's the thing. There are a whole lot of issues that we need to work on. We've got to get the money out of politics. Pat's right about that. We got to get better affordable housing, better jobs. We got to get rid of these billionaires, make them pay their fair share of taxes so we can have affordable health care, universal health care. But first, we got to get rid of the corruption problem that we have. We have a president who's a criminal, committing crimes every day. His administration is violating our constitutional rights every day. We have a Republican Congress that's in charge, that's ready to bootleg any fascist that's their fascist. And that's what they're doing. We have a Supreme Court that wants to take away your rights. So we got to fight those fights first, and then we can get to the other stuff. And I am the one that you want to send to Washington to fight for you. Thank you,
Mr. Church. All right, so we have a couple of different sections of this conversation, but we're going to start off with affordability and the cost of living. Everybody that's the topic of the day, right? Everybody is looking at their purse strings. Everybody is looking at how they're going to be able to pay their bills, how they're going to make ends meet. Do you support capping prescription drug prices at the federal level to lower costs for district residents?
Is this with the paddle or this?
This is with the paddle. Okay. All right. And listen, if you would like to, anybody would like to jump in and add a little bit more? Thank you, Randy.
I would say I support that, but I also definitely support letting Medicare bargain with the pharmaceutical companies to get our prices down.
Okay. All right. Do you believe the federal government should play a direct role in increasing the supply of affordable housing in coastal Georgia? And how would you get that done? Anybody?
So I would like more public housing bill. I mean, there's the thing right now called the Fair Call Amendment, so it caps public housing at 1999 levels. I'd like to repeal that and have the government build more public housing at the same time I got the word. Go ahead. Fix the current public housing we have as now, right now as well.
I don't think, I actually know, by the way, I don't think the federal government should be involved in building housing. We need to bring that money back to developers and give the developers tax grant and the local municipalities. Savannah has shown it can be done correctly. The more the federal government gets involved, the worse and the more complicated things are going to get. We see it with our healthcare, we see it with everything. And then somebody with the federal government's going to come back in and revoke it again. Square system works. Let's get that money to municipalities, to the states, and we can offer federal tax incentives and federal tax breaks for developers to build affordable housing. I think that's the right.
Well, I do believe the federal government has a role to play in this because of tariff. We need to get rid of the current tariffs because, for redesign them so they'd be more equated to our citizens. Because right now, the tariffs are right now putting a strain on material. And those materials, if they're putting a strain on material, that means that we have less affordable housing. So when we have less affordable housing, and the ones that do be built, they cost a lot more money. What it also does is actually put a strain on our citizens as well. So that cost goes into your rent and your mortgage. So yes, the federal government does have a role to play.
I think, Ms. Holloway?
Oh, yes, I mean, we just had a real life example, if you guys are on social media, someone posted their housing authority letter that they will no longer receive that incentive that they did during COVID. And that's because this federal government decided that they were no longer funding that. So it's the same structures and problems that Tidy has with trying to get development or coastal resilience and that money. We need to actually go back when we get there and actually put the money back into HUD, but also expand HUD intentionally, not just to keep people in poverty, but to keep people in poverty to move out of poverty, right? We create a cycle of poverty with a lot of our federal funding, and we need to make sure we're actually putting resources with the housing to make sure that they can get out of poverty. And I'm a huge supporter of workforce housing, because a lot of these folks, you know, when we look at Glenn, they have a huge federal government employer. They could have done workforce housing because they're the federal government, not all could have been rented back off to them. Here in Savannah, we've done affordable housing well, but we're not actually addressing the people who work and live in Savannah and what we could do and negotiate more with these developers. And that's actually working with the zoning commissions, the city councils, the county, as well as you trying to bring in dollars. Because if they don't draw down those dollars, there's nothing we can do. And so you actually have to build relationships with folks to understand that this is programming they need.
All right.
The city has a pretty loose definition of affordable housing, and I know that they work with developers sometimes to get affordable housing, but, you know.
Is this Richmond Hill?
This is Savannah. I'm speaking of Savannah specifically. And this housing often doesn't end up being affordable. I think one of the things we can really look at is increasing funding to the Housing Choice Voucher Program in the short term so that people can get in homes. But in the long term, we need to talk about the national debt, which is a big reason why our interest rates keep going up and up and up. Because your interest rates on a house are tied to the interest rates on the 10-year U.S. Treasury. The interest rate on that goes up as the creditworthiness of the United States goes down. I know that this is a very complicated problem, but it's something that needs to be addressed because this is a systemic issue that is really affecting our affordability. We also talk about the value of the U.S. dollar, which 40% U.S. dollars in circulation has been printed since 2020, since COVID. That is what's directly impacted your cost of living. That's what needs to be tackled if we're going to fix this in the long term.
All right, so I have developed a new way of letting people know time is up. Are y'all ready?
Yeah.
Okay, so be it right now. You got to respect that, like you respect mama knocking on the door.
Yes, sir.
Saturday morning.
All right. I like that.
You gotta respect it like that. Okay, go ahead. I'm gonna let you wrap it up.
Speaking of affordable housing, now we have a gentrification problem. And only one candidate on the stage has contributed to that, and that was Mr. Bass.
Well, I mean, you're right. Yeah, I renovated a lot of homes in Savannah that were totally run down and vacant, and nobody's able to live in them, and now people live in them. So I've increased the supply of housing in the city of Savannah.
Yeah, Airbnb.
All right,
Airbnb.
well, we're gonna keep
How about
it
Bryan
simple.
County though? You guys keep emphasizing Savannah, how about Bryan County?
Is there affordable housing in Bryan County? Currently, no.
There's no affordable housing anywhere.
Not only is it a good point that we must remember what we are and kind of speak to the issues that are important to the people that showed up here today, but it's also important to talk about what kind of affordable housing is it at all. As a person who works in the construction industry and housing and affordability and everything else, I appreciate all the comments. And I implore people to do some more research as to what is actually being done, what's actually influencing things. Things like tariffs are things that are important, right? That drives up the cost of everything. So I'm not going to take time away from you guys.
Can I ask you a question? How do you want us to raise our hand?
So that was an anomaly, right? So after you say yes or no, I usually pick one,
Okay.
maybe two more people. But I like the flow of things, so I just decided. Did y'all enjoy that? Yeah. All right. So, would you support legislation that protects residents from corporate price gouging on groceries and essential goods? All right. Now, would anybody like to follow up? with some ideas of how you would actually do it. Go ahead.
All right, I'm gonna do that. I mean, it's strengthen the FTC, the Federal Trade Commission is one big thing. We haven't been enforcing antitrust laws in the book for a very long time. That was through both administrations, Democratic and Republican. We did see strong enforcement under Lena Khan under Joe Biden. I like that. But we've been 10 steps back under Trump. So I definitely get the Federal Trade Commission more power to enforce antitrust laws and make sure the laws we already have on the books are actually being enforced and not overlooked.
I love it. I love it. All right. Last question on affordability and cost of living. Do you think tariffs on import? Did I already ask that? No. Do you think tariffs on? Start checking off the boxes. Do you think tariffs on imported goods, such as those currently affecting supply chains through the port of Savannah, are making life more expensive for families in this district? Okay, it's pretty unanimous out here. Next, we're going to move to oil, gas, and energy prices. Now, listen. Everybody sees the price at the pump, right? We know what's going on. Everybody's feeling it. Bernie Sanders recently just introduced an idea that I thought it was worth even looking up, right? And kind of seeing how it worked. And I did a little research. And it's more complicated than most people think, but I'm gonna ask the question. Senator Bernie Sanders recently called out oil companies for using the conflict in Iran to drive up gas prices with a national average over $4.40 a gallon. Do you support a windfall profit tax on oil companies that earn excessive profits during periods of conflict or crisis?
They do it during hurricane
Yes,
season.
everybody says yes. Now, let me give a little bit more. What would that look like for you, right? What is that a permanent tax, or is that, and how long do you go, and how high would you go?
I think that it should be passed in law. I mean, it's clear they're doing it. And for the duration of the conflict. And I think you tie that back into the tariffs and the food pricing and everything else. We saw during COVID, which was basically a conflict. It wasn't a war, but it was a conflict. We saw during COVID that prices went up because of supply chain issues and all that. They never came back down. Now, there was the Kroger executives, CEOs, and all were in front of Congress 2 years ago testifying, but they never brought the prices back down. So I think we can expand that on all consumable goods. If we can identify it as find evidence that it had been done, obviously, which with the COVID prices and with oil, yes.
Okay.
That would be passionate law is a permanent thing.
Okay, so we're talking about excess profits, right?
Yes.
Because
Because business
companies
is not make profit. But we can see clear as day that food prices went up during COVID because of supply chain. You know, we always said that. They never came back down.
Gotcha.
We have no supply chain issues now. And everything's pretty much fell back down.
Okay.
I said with oil, I mean, that's a whole other thing. But, so yeah, we need to punish those people that are price gouging the average American citizens. I agree with that.
Anybody else want to tap into that, or we're gonna move on? Oh,
I was gonna say, we just gotta get off oil, period. We gotta stop using oil, so finite resources gonna run out. We don't need to be using it. We can get on renewable resources, and it's gonna be a national level investment to get onto alternative sources of energy. We have to do it.
that is a very interesting question. The person that works in that field also. That can be a little bit more challenging than to understand, right? I think we have to have a balanced approach, but it's not my space to come in and say that. Go ahead.
To add on what Pat said, yes, I want renewable energy. I want to be, that's how you achieve energy independence. But also, oil is in everything we touch. Everything in front of us. So we really need to find an alternative for. Again, that should be the biggest alternative. Is to find an alternative for oil. We can't just speak clean energy, this and that. And that's still not going to take away our use of oil. You use oil to lubricate those windmills. That's not allowed you to do that. So we need to find an alternative to oil. Is I think how you fix that solution.
Okay.
The problem, I'm sorry.
All right, so we're gonna move on to the next question. I'm sorry, did somebody? Did I cut you off at a good point?
I don't know.
Come on,
But I don't want y'all to think that I'm sitting here dumbfounded and don't know the answer to things. They're moving really quickly. I'm the one to be with age.
All you have to do is raise your hand.
I
I'm gonna make
did.
sure I call you from
I
now
think
on.
the KC issue.
Is it a head issue?
I just want to make this. Yeah.
Go ahead.
I just want to make this point though. It's still around affordability, regardless at the end of the day. And if we're sitting in Congress, the first thing I will tackle when we regardless about the tariff, you know, it's still the increase in cost. People need access to money. And I think that we need an increase in the cost of living, and we still need an increase in the federal minimum, minimum wage, what is it? Minimum wage. See, you did that. Okay, but anyway, it's minimum wage. But anyway, I'm really funny, y'all, sorry about that. But it is really about money. It's still about money. It's just people not having access to money. People are not having access to the goods and services are going up, and it's all still tied to the tariff. But that's what I'm saying. If I went to Washington, I would fight for an increase in the cost of living and an increase in the federal minimum wage.
Let's talk about that. I'm gonna take a personal liberty here. Who's in favor of raising Now let's follow up on that. We heard about tariffs, right? We heard about everything else that increases cost of goods, cost of living. How do you raise the minimum wage without raising the cost of living?
You mean the cost of doing business?
The cost of doing business is also passed down to you, but how you gonna live? Like, so for instance, right, if it's gonna cost me $30, $40, $50 an hour to pay you for something, right, I have to increase my cost on whether it's building a house, whether it's farming, whatever that is, that cost increases. Or maybe I have it wrong. You explain what you think about it.
Go ahead, and I'll continue.
Okay.
He had his hand.
I would say, when we're paying people under a living wage, often they're taking government benefits, and so we're subsidizing people's low wages through, like Walmart, for example, is getting subsidized by you, the taxpayer, because they don't pay a living wage, and a lot of their employees are on Medicaid or other sort of government programs. So that's one example of I don't necessarily think that the cost of doing business is going to go up all that much on a societal level. We're just going to shift who's got the burden for actually paying a living wage, off the taxpayer and on the employer.
How does it affect small businesses?
I mean, small businesses, I'm a small business owner myself, and it's tough sometimes when, you're trying to compete with these bigger businesses, and that's why another part of my platform is to have a universal healthcare system, because I know for me as a small business owner, it's hard for me to compete with Gulfstream, who offers a great healthcare plan, and I can't, because I just can't pull together that many employees, and I can't afford those kind of benefits. And so when you start factoring in these other things that we want to do, now we have a whole systemic approach that's going to help small business.
But I mean, you've seen over and over again, if you guys have in the last 14 months, that corporate greed is real, and these folks are making hand over fist off our backs.
Right.
And so we actually, with increasing the minimum wage, you also have to think about how do you penalize them in an intentional way to make sure that they're held accountable, right? Like not giving them tax credits so they can go back and buy shares to help make their shareholders happy. We don't have a consumer bureau protection anymore. We don't have inspector generals anymore. So we don't have a lot of things in the government that actually protected us from these. It was our last line of defense. And so I just think at the end of the day, the whole, if we increase the minimum wage, I have to increase my price is the boogeyman. And I think more than anything, it's going to be small businesses, but we can help and work with small businesses to create tax credits and incentives so they can actually increase their pay that they do for their
So let me push back and keep that conversation kind of going where I think they should. Small businesses who in here owns a business? I mean, that looks like maybe half of the crowd, right? If you have to take your wage, because of course you're probably not even paying minimum wage now, right? But as wages go up, right, I own a small business. I know that I was paying way above minimum wage back when people were talking about $20 an hour. I was already paying that, right? Because I knew I wasn't gonna be able to get nobody to come out. Nobody was coming out to me to get in the attic. So it's seriously. So explain to me how we can better support and protect small businesses as we look to increase wages. For those corporations that are making the very most, right, when small businesses are not. I'm sorry. He was right.
I think we need to re-individualize how we treat minimum wage, period. So, in certain countries, you have a minimum wage for, say, food service. And then you have different skill sets that higher the minimum wage. And we see in Canada and our European neighbors that the cost of a Big Mac doesn't go up tremendously much more for the workers in Denmark, they make $20 an hour with full packages versus what a worker down here in Bryan County is $12 an hour. So I do agree with Amanda and Pat on this issue, that it is a boogeyman, the price issue is a boogeyman. Like for instance, and for small business, I think if you employ, say, 50 people or more, then we're gonna give you a deduction on your payroll tax credits. We're gonna give you something to offset that. And I also think we need to treat minimum wage more of a regional thing, or because $15 an hour in rural Mississippi, you probably do okay. $15 an hour in Bryan County, not so much. So I think we need to re-visualize how we treat minimum wage across the board.
Okay, all right. Keep in mind also, how do we look at this in ways that does not stunt startup businesses as well, right? So, you know, tax cuts and tax breaks sound good for someone who's already bringing in real money, right? But when I don't really have money.
I think we incentivize that through the small business administration. Sorry, I'm small business, not bad. Sorry, guys.
Okay.
I think we incentivize the small business administration for startups. So you go ahead and qualify that. If you employ, say, 5 people within 2 years, then we wash away some of your debt, or we give you some startup money or whatever.
That's all right.
I mean, we can do it very simple.
Let me move on to Ms. Scott. It's all right.
Yeah, I will be very brief. There are issues, especially small businesses, because I'm one. Okay, small business gotta pay social security tax, you gotta match all that. Okay, but there are some programs and there are some incentives. For example, if you hire somebody that came out of jail, you can get a tax break. If you hire a veteran, you can get a tax break. And it is very difficult because during the COVID, I mean, I almost went, if I didn't own my own building, I would have probably went under. So we got a lot of small businesses that are trying very hard, but because the cost and everything associated with running a small business, I think we can come up with more incentives, especially for the small business. And then even the larger businesses, they gotta make a living, let's face it, okay? So we gotta have a good balance. I know we can say we're gonna throw the books at them and this, that, we gotta have a balance.
I think you make a good point, right? Because the good times prepare you for the bad times, right?
Yeah.
And when you have excesses, it allows for you to reinvest, it allows for you to save up, it allows for you to do a lot of other things. If you're cut so close on the margins to whatever somebody else is saying is too much, right? It could be harmful. So just keeping that in mind is good as we look to improve things for everybody.
I just want to bring it back to big business for just a moment, because that boogeyman, that's a myth that's been spread by big business for a long time. If you raise minimum wage, prices are going to go up. Well, that's only if they pass it along. You have to look at the people at the top of these companies. CEO pay is just out of control. It's ridiculous. And so we need to put limits on that. Say, the bottom paid worker makes a certain amount, and the person at the top can only make certain multiples of that. You know what I mean? Instead of 1,000 times as much, maybe 10 times.
There was a nonprofit in Savannah that kind of practiced that flat model of pay. It was extraordinary. I never really seen anybody do it like that in Savannah before. And they really took time to value employees and said, hey, we're all a team, and the pay will reflect that. All right, Joe, I gotta move on.
For me to go? Or you
Go
gotta
ahead,
on?
you go ahead.
All right, so real quick. I think people are missing out something.
Real quick.
There's a guy named Dan Price. He was a CEO, had a lot of money. Long story short, he cut his wage down to $70,000 and paid his employees the same money. Everything worked out better. Everything workers were more productive, all that kind of stuff. So what I'm trying to get to, long story short, is if you pay your workers more money, they're more productive. You got more money floating around the local economy. If they have a family emergency or something comes up like that, so you got a flat tire or whatnot, if you're paying them, trash wages, they're not going to be able to fix that. They're going to miss work. That's going to cost you money as well. So it all kind of, that money's just going to go right back in the economy if you give it to working class folks instead of giving it tax cuts to the rich.
I agree. I think it sounds really good in theory sometimes. And I appreciate all of your willingness to expand on the ideas with some real, what could we really do? All right, so I'm going to go to, should revenue from any windfall profit taxes on oil companies be returned directly to American families as rebates rather than going into the general fund? Unanimous agreement again? Yeah. I love it. Anybody want to go more to that? I think Amanda might even spoke to this a little bit already.
mean, you're talking about the current rebates. Currently the administration is saying that they are getting money back.
Yes.
Right, and they're trying to
We
figure
were
out how
supposed
to
to get
get.
a check too, wasn't we?
Well, we were supposed to get lots of checks. We had a $2,500 check for, when terrorist money was coming in.
Doge?
And then Doge was supposed to get his money back too. So what's consistent about this administration is they like to lie. And what's probably happening is that money is probably not going into the coffers or even the general fund. It's probably going back to private investors. And so, you know, we have to figure out a way to regulate this and bring this administration in, because this is just them, again, fleecing America.
If you could really just, as quick as you possibly can, how does something like that, how does tariff or tax money find its way back to private investors?
Well, because it's an unconstitutional move in the first place. So now you can also say, well, they were paying this up front, and because they were paying it up front, we now want to give them their money back. And so we'll give big corporations who we thought were paying more up front their money back first, before we actually put it down to the people who are actually paying it.
Okay, so that may come in the form of a tax break?
It can have a form of tax break, or knowing this president's probably a check.
Direct? Okay. George?
So one way, I know it's kind of energy, then we got into tariffs real quick, but I think what Amanda was trying to explain is, one way Wall Street essentially is buying up these refunds that we're getting, or kind of supposed to get from tariffs, because small business owners can't go through the whole complicated refund process. So you got people buying a refund for 15 cents on the dollar, and then getting the right to that refund once the Supreme Court has heard the whole.
You mean like, green credits, or you mean like,
So say if you're a small business and you're getting refunds for tariffs right now. It's a very complicated process, and also small businesses are being squeezed out of money. So you got Wall Street and also members of the Trump administration buying the right to those refunds for about 15 to 30 cents on the dollar. That's because they can wait it out longer and get that massive money and get that massive windfall.
thank you. Did anybody here know about that?
But there's two ways. I mean, there's that way, that's the old school way.
Well, that's what we're talking. You're talking about tariffs, and we're talking about energy. Energy rebates, yeah, that's very easy. Georgia Power's charging me like crazy. You know, just tax them and send me the rebate. That one's simple.
All right, thank you for the input, the feedback. I feel, did anybody learn something this week? No? All right, it was just. All right. Moving on to healthcare. And I know this is a passionate topic for a lot of people. Do you support expanding Medicaid in Georgia to cover more uninsured residents in the district?
It's a federal.
It's okay to disagree.
Yeah, it's a state issue. Yeah, it's a state issue.
I support it.
I support it. Yeah, we need it.
Yeah.
Okay, and do you somebody wanna follow up on?
I just wanna say
the
this.
nuance?
Yeah, sure, is it me?
You
Okay.
just
Yeah. Okay, I just wanna say, that Medicaid expansion, that's a state issue. Medicare is federal, and too often people mix those two, and we must keep them separate. Now, in Washington, that's your next congresswoman, I'm gonna find every penny that I can to bring back to the district so we can make sure we have money for Medicare, but get money to the appropriate agency so they can divvy the money out to the state entities, okay? Yeah, we may need Medicaid expansion, but it is a state issue. But I will find the money for Medicare to bring it back down for people.
Okay, yes ma'am, yes ma'am.
Just a comment, and I'm glad that, Attorney, George Greer said, she said, but I still have to be real because, government is only there to support gaps. The state support itself, but they need that government funding, to support, the gaps. Oh, I know what you're saying. But I'm gonna tell you, when I'm out here talking to people, I can tell you what the real people are saying. Everybody do not support, I do support expanding Medicaid, in Georgia. I do support that. But you have a lot of people that's in our party that actually don't agree, and I don't know how many of you in this room that really don't agree and say that people need to pull themselves up by bootstraps and figure out another way to get it, which I don't agree with that. But I just don't know how people truly feel in this room.
Okay.
People are keeping it real. Everybody don't support that, even if they Democrat.
Well,
But I do, but everybody don't.
I don't know how bad, that's why I asked about the nuance, because people see it differently, and there may be other reasons why, not just, someone not having a heart. Let me let Amanda get to this one, and I'll come back there.
I mean, we can go find every penny, every dollar, and make it happen, but y'all not gonna expand Medicaid in Georgia without the Democratic government. And, there's $14 billion in surplus. Georgia has so much money to fund its own Medicaid program, it doesn't even need that federal dollars. But this does not happen unless y'all elect a Democratic government.
You heard it from the source. All right, I'm sorry, brother, and then we'll come back to you, brother.
So, yeah, I'm with her on the same exact point. We have to understand, I know we up here as all federal candidates, but at the same exact time, the most power that you're gonna have in order to drive that is gonna be your state candidates. You have to actually elect some state candidates to actually drive that force. And basically, implement everything that y'all talking about with this right here. It's just, you gotta have that. That is the foundation.
And I'll add, the reason why, I got one second. The main, was it Joey or was it me?
Yes.
Okay, also, thank you, Randy. One of the main reasons why Medicaid wasn't expanded in Georgia was Ben Watson, who was the current state senator. You have two great Democrats running against him, and I encourage you to vote for Corey Coleman in the Democrat primary, because they'll go toe-to-toe with Ben Watson. We can solve this on the state level, I agree with Matt. Georgia's got plenty of money. We can do this without the government. But there are federal dollars, there are tax dollars that were allotted during the ACA expansion for states. South Carolina and Georgia did not take, it's our dollars, we need to bring that back as well.
So I want to move on to that, right? And that is, why were those dollars sent back? Not just how you feel
Because of
about.
Black News Promoted Plan.
Okay. What would be the academic argument?
They were Obama bucks.
Yeah.
It was
Thank you, man. She's not personally speaking to me on
There's
that.
no other excuse, basically.
No other
The biggest thing with what happened with what we have here is that they want to take credit for it. If it was written up from a Democrat and it's in a Republican area, they would not do it. They'll take it and rewrite it and put it in their name to make sure it fits their.
Let me ask you something. When was the last time that money was sent back? When was the last time you had an opportunity to grab those dollars?
During when they had
You think it was still about?
Well, if it was called Trump care, we would already argue the same. And we need to face the facts of that. There's no intellectual argument about this.
All right.
Can I add something just about healthcare?
Yes.
So Medicaid expansion is a state issue, but Medicaid money is federal money. And so one of the very first things we have to do is undo some of the provisions, or all the provisions, in that big ugly bill that they passed to cut Medicaid by $880 billion. But really, our healthcare system needs a complete revamp. We could have universal health care, like I said, if billionaires paid their fair share of taxes. We could do it in a style like the VA instead of a Medicare kind of format. And in that way, you take the health insurance as the middleman, you take them out of the whole equation, and we don't need it. We can all have universal health care.
I feel like we've been getting left out of the conversation. Did you have something to add?
Well, I mean, I was just gonna say, we talk about why did we not take the money. I think it's partly because it was a black president who gave the money, but I think it's also because giving people health care, or rather, removing health care from people is a method of control. You can keep somebody under your thumb if they're not having their basic needs met. And I think my own example, I get VA health care. That VA health care gave me the freedom to start my own small business, and being able to start my own small business, that gets me out of the system where I'm not having to work for wages for somebody, and I can compete now with these other businesses. I think it's just a method of control to keep people, locked up in the system.
We'll go on forever on that.
Yes, and the next question.
Yeah.
I had another idea in my head, it just went away. All right, we're gonna move to military and veterans. Everybody okay with that?
Yes.
All right. Do you commit to opposing any federal budget cuts that will reduce personnel or funding at Fort Stewart, Hunter Army Air Force, Moody Air Force Base, or Kings Bay?
You want us to repeat it?
Repeat the question, 'cause I don't think they listen.
Do you commit to opposing any federal budget cuts that will reduce personnel
Yeah.
or funding at Fort Stewart, Hunter Air Force, Army Airfield, Jesus, Hunter Airfield.
We got it.
Army Airfield, Moody Air Force Base, and Kings Base.
I was going like this. I'm going like this for a reason.
Okay, let me hear your follow-up on that, and I want to hear you too.
The reason why I'm going like that is because what we don't understand is we have not tapped into that funding yet. When we actually go ahead and tap, I just talked to the regional commander down in Kings Bay, Mayport, and they were actually in Jacksonville. We have to understand that there are funds there for those communities, and that we have to tie those funds in to those communities. And we're not tapping into those funds because we don't have business etiquette type people to understand how to write grants, to understand how to propose things, and to link the base installations with the local community. We have to be able to work with those environments. And they have the funds, like they're getting $6 billion. That $6 billion is getting split in half. Kings Bay is getting $3 billion of that because they're getting 10,000 more residents, basic residents. So we have to be able to tap into those funds. The communities have to tap into them. That's why it's going to be like this, because
You're saying we have money that's not being spent
It's
on
not
ready
being
to
tapped into.
continue to. Got it.
That's a very open-ended question, and I would say, first of all, I'm a military veteran. I'm stationed at Fort Stewart, and I'm for anything that is good for soldier welfare. And there's a lot of soldier welfare issues that are not being met in terms of like the barracks and living conditions for people. So I will never cut any funding related to that. But on the other hand, I will say that we're spending $1 trillion every year on the defense budget, and it's unsustainable. It's a big part of why we're $39 trillion in debt. So we cannot keep spending all this money. Just 10 years ago, we were only spending like 750 grand. Okay, and it just keeps going up and up and up. We have got to slash the defense budget. And that might mean some cuts to some funding around here, and that might upset some people in this room. But it is a matter of, our debt is a matter of national security.
It's almost like the boogeyman class system, right? People make you scared of cuts to the military budget when maybe it needs to happen.
President Eisenhower himself warned us about the military-industrial complex. Right now, we've got a system that, these defense contractors are milking us dry, and they are sucking money out of us, and they are getting into wars that we don't even need to be in the first place.
But we're also gonna have to make some hard decisions, because right before, it was a year ago, Buddy Carter was fighting to keep Hunter, if people remember that. And he was fighting in the Capitol because Hunter was up on one of those bases that was going to close when Joe Biden was in office. And so he fought to keep it open, but what came out of that was they were saying there's not that many soldiers on that base. That base is actually more storage than it is actually training soldiers. And so, should we give that, at least that land back to the community so they have more land to work with creating a supply for housing, or do we keep funding it? And he fought to keep it open. So what I'm trying to get to is, it is okay to do an audit. I agree with Pat that sometimes we have to pull ourselves in and do an audit and say, is this worth it? Is this making sense for this community? If it's not, we need to change it. If it is, then how do we make it more accessible to people?
But we're talking about two different things.
Okay.
We're talking about the defense budget versus what we're talking about is the installation budget. We're two different separate issues right there.
Educate us.
You want to go ahead and finish it? So you're talking about funds that they get for contractors and all kind of other issues and stuff. That is money that we would definitely put up a no. We don't want it. You know what I mean? Or we'll vote against it. Yes. Those are things that we'll actually vote against. But we're talking about money that is going back into our communities. We're not doing it.
And I just want to say briefly, Hunter, all the military bases have provided jobs and resources to our communities, and also for the military families, and particularly for the military spouses, because you move around every 2 or 3 years, so we got to make sure we accommodate them. Okay, so it is so important that we look at what is it that make sure we don't cut those essential things that we need. We need these bases here, and I want to say this: I was at Hunter and I was also at Fort Stewart. We need Hunter, because there's the Aerial Exploitation Battalion out there. I was a part of it, and that is critical. That's critical to our national security also. So we need that. So we need to look at the monies.
So there's a need to really understand the intimacy of the
Right,
military
exactly.
to be able to have a conversation about these.
And the local, you're talking about destroying local economy if you remove the bases. We've seen it in any town where basically removed during the Clinton administration. and even further, you're destroying.
Let's talk about
I think that with anything, you should be responsible and properly plan how that.
Well, our code apparently doesn't have these things.
So that's why we need somebody out there to help that know how to do it.
I see so much agreement here today.
Yeah.
Isn't it amazing? All right. I'm gonna move on to one more military question, and then what else would you like for us to talk about? Environmental.
Are we still passing or not?
We've been passing. Do you not want to pass?
No, I just want to know what we're doing.
Was anybody else confused? All right. With ports trade and economic development, do you support continued federal investment in infrastructure at the Port of Savannah to keep it competitive with other Atlantic ports? Atlantic. Okay, give me
That's,
some.
we've grown this port, it's grown like 3 times in the last 10 or 15 years. How much are we gonna keep growing this port of Savannah? I think it's already pretty competitive, and I think, how much benefit do you see, does anybody in this room see from that port continuing to grow? In fact, I would say the growth of that port is negatively impacting your life when you talk about all the increased traffic, when you talk about all the warehouses that nobody wants, all the development. I don't see it, and I don't buy this whole idea that continued growth is a good thing for people. So I would say, do I support investment in the port to keep things, rolling smoothly like they need to be? Sure, because I don't want to see it shrink, because that's going to negatively impact some people who are already here. But I don't think we need to keep pushing this growth at all costs business.
Okay. You can remove every other small business in the entire district, and the Port of Savannah still makes more profit. That is the lifeline of the district. Anybody that tells you they want to Spanish port does not deserve to vote.
Yep.
Point blank period.
Well, you're making a false choice here, because I haven't said that we need to shut it down. What did I say we need to shut it down? I literally said we don't need to
You're
keep
going to
growing.
destroy our community so you can go back.
Oh, come on.
I do love WWE. I would love to see
I think most people here in this room agree that they're tired of seeing their forests and their wetlands get pulled over by these warehouses that half of them are sitting empty right now. I think most people agree with me on that.
I think that that's a mixed conversation, right? Nuanced conversation. I think that you can support smart growth.
Yes.
And support the environmentalists, right?
Have we seen smart growth around here? Have we seen smart growth?
I'm not in the WWE. And I don't mind engaging in that, but all I'm saying to you is that, and we can also start to have the hard conversations about, what that looks like, right?
So this is a hard conversation.
So, as a veteran here, as a small business owner, as someone that actually works in the community for over 10 years in these communities, and seeing what the ports do for our communities, I understand that there's a need for ports because it is the lifeblood of our communities. The biggest issue is we don't have the right people in charge to push the things that need to be developed from these ports. So if we're gonna have ports, when the funds that come into these ports, those funds can spread out to the community. And that's what's not happening right now. It does need the right direction. So we need to actually feed off of those ports, more into our rural communities, more into like places like Brantley. You understand what I'm saying? It's not doing enough right now.
The port not only supports businesses throughout this community, but the whole state, the whole region.
And it is not only economic driver for the entire
I think that just much like how you point out with the military, you have to really have to understand the economics.
Yes.
To have an educated conversation about it. An informed conversation.
These are good paying, easy jobs.
But not just the jobs and not just the ports. There are businesses that would not be able to survive at all.
That's right.
They don't even do business
Wall Street,
here.
Honda, you name it.
They're selling stuff around. This is the global economy. You have to be able to access the global economy if you want to, even as a small business. So,
On the last economic report report. The port is responsible for 650,000 businesses and jobs in the whole state of Georgia. If you guys know One Fish, Two Fish, they are a client of Georgia Ports Authority. They're not in the small business.
My small business on River Street is fine.
I think I'm on the nice one, you know, I'm one of the rich, I mean, I'm trying to be, because I'm from Georgia, I'm from Savannah, I'm from the district, so we definitely call hospitality, we try to bring respect for everyone. But I want to say though, military constellations and the ports, from being here, born and raised here, it's an economic drive. My husband owns a trucking company. Right now, his trucks are not moving because work is not coming from the port. And even farmers are dealing with those issues right now. They can't, because of the tariff, I don't know if they just can't afford to buy their materials, but those truck drivers don't have, when those trucks sit, money's not being made. And when stuff is not coming into the port, I'm just saying, you may be right, but I'm born and raised here, and the port is like a lifeline to all of us.
And this is what happens. And this is what happens when you have candidates that run races this summer, last year, one of them more. This is what happens right here.
I'm not sure if I made out what you said, but it's okay.
I said,
You gotta respect yourself. I said, when you do that, you gotta treat it like your mom.
Let me just say this. The ports are critical to the state of Georgia and our area, the coast of Georgia, they are so critical. We need the ports, we need the jobs.
All right.
I think a lot of people misconstrue my position, and my position is never that we need to shrink the port. My position is that we do not need to continue to grow the port because it's already too big and it's already not got the throughput
Who
that
says
it needs
it's
to
too
have.
big? Who says it's too big?
somebody wants to kayak in the river.
Excuse me. I got I would appreciate if you would respect the space that Bryan Indivisible has created and not run me over or run this community over, okay? We're having a good spirited debate and conversation about a lot of important things. I love it. I want to keep it going. But I don't want us to be disrespectful to each other. We're gonna have a meet and greet later on. You'll be able to say everything. You know what? At this time, I do want to engage the audience. I want to offer opportunity for anybody that has a question that they would like to ask the candidates. If you don't have questions, I have more questions. But I want to give you the opportunity to engage this conversation. Anybody? Yes, sir.
Whoever the winner will they support them?
Okay, so the question is, whoever wins this race, will you be committed to supporting that person in the general election?
Let me take a picture because that's my whole
Oh, we made it. Oh, we made it. We made it. I don't believe it, y'all.
Now, that question was probably asked of me because I have been back and forth on this. But the more I talk to my supporters, the more I talk to people, and the more I saw Ms. Melinda's comment about it, I regret saying I wouldn't. And my position is today, you guys already have me on here, I will support whoever nominates.
Well, listen.
We got to put this.
People can have their principles and what they think. And it's
Well, it is that is none of anybody up here, and I'm scared back there about it. I am the aggressive one on stage. But anybody up here is better than you to the whole control. And that's at the end of the day, that is the goal is to put this in.
all right. This is a nonpartisan space. I want to remind everybody of that.
Sorry, Nation.
I have a question. So a lot of people will go and they'll run for certain positions, right? And they have never done anything in their community prior to running, and they just wake up one day and say, I'm gonna run for something. What have you done to show that you're actually gonna do the work, or you're gonna say you're gonna walk the walk when you're in Washington, to show what's your track record? Like, what have you done prior to you guys taking this seat or this candidacy to run?
Can I answer that?
Anybody? You want everybody next to
Yeah, I answer that very quickly for me. Because I'm just coming from a job that was out of Washington, D.C., and I got an opportunity working at a national level, supporting the work of the EPA. That's what my job was, support the work of the EPA. And I want to tell everybody, just go to my LinkedIn page because I've been working for 35 5 years.
So what I just want to say is, I don't mean to interrupt you,
Yeah.
but what I want to know is not paid. It's not your job. I want to know what you've done.
My community service speaks for me. I have for 4.5 years, maybe 5.5 years, worked under grant funding for Black Voters Matter, being in the streets, knocking on doors, canvassing, doing phone banking, taking trips across the southeast and South Georgia area, trying to galvanize and mobilize people to vote. And that was most recent. And it was that experience, other than me losing my job, but it was that experience for the last 4 years doing that is really what I said, hey, I think I can do this too. It's a courageous move. Everybody, would you do it? I mean, I put the question back on you, but would you do it? It's a courageous move just to even do this.
Yes, ma'am. We want to give everybody else an opportunity to kind of briefly talk about what you've done. You want to go?
Sure. Well, first, I served my country in the Army for 6 years, and then in Savannah. In 2020, I did ballot carrying after that election. If you remember, we had a pretty close election. I led the efforts with the Young Dems in Chatham County to do PSC election canvassing last year. I raised $300,000 for Renegade Cross Rescue to buy a building, and I volunteered with them as well, and I volunteered at May's House Soup Kitchen.
Okay, awesome.
So I've been involved as a progressive activist since my 20s. There were a few years where I took some time off to raise the kids. My kid's mom was working at SCAD and going a lot overseas for them, and so I had to stay home. But I canvassed for Kamala a lot, so much that I got invited to the super volunteer dinner. And also, especially since Trump won, since Trump came into office, I've been out there. And anytime there's any chance to get out and speak up and protest about the egregious things they're doing, I'm there. You'll see me there, including in front of Buddy's office for every week, pretty much for 14 months. Back in 2020, when Trump was running for re-election, I founded the Pro-America Anti-Trump Savannah Banner Project, and we just held banners out in front of early voting places that said Pro-America Anti-Trump. And we would have been the reason Joe Biden won.
Okay. Anybody else?
Yes, sir. I'm trying to be nice.
You.
So, I'm from South Carolina. I'm probably the newest resident up here since I've been here about 6 years. But in South Carolina, I serve on the board of South Carolina Equality, I'm on the board for the Family Resources. And I also held 15 affordable housing seminars, affordable buying seminars in Tallahassee. I've been here. And I've also worked with South Electric Action for getting stuff to inmates that families can't afford for monetary stuff. So I don't brag about my civic services, but I have been engaged in community service.
And I have consistently been engaged in the community even before now. I've worked on numerous candidates campaigns for governor, you name it, all the way down. Didn't get any pay, but because I wanted to see a difference, okay? Also, there are these legally binding agreements and laws in place right now that I helped work with. It dealt with employment discrimination, okay? And I'll tell y'all what it is. It's called the Crown Act, where people of color were not allowed to wear their hair in twists or cornrows or things of that nature. And make a long story short, we had a protest in front of the clerk of courts in Chatham County. CNN picked it up, Atlanta Journal-Constitution. They flew us up to New York. We had a conference because they wanted to fire this young lady because she wore hair in twists. That's her natural hairstyle. But make a long story short, right now there's like 27 states that have passed what is known as the Crown Act, where bottom line, EEOC has been gutted, but you could go to the EEOC, file a complaint, against the employer because they wanted to fire them. So that Crown Act is in place in about 27 states. It's at the Capitol.
All right, Ms. Green.
Okay, it's in the Capitol on the desk, right there. Okay, but anyway, that was one thing. I've done a lot in this community. I've fed the homeless. I've given affordable housing. Yes,
ma'am.
Okay, I've got my receipts. If anybody want to know.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Joey, go ahead.
I mean, I've done a lot for my community. Served as vice chair of the Camden County Democratic Party. I've helped work campaigns for free all around the country, helping make sure Democrats, keep control of the House, whatever it may be on elections. But I feel like the question itself has an issue, but we ask of candidates to have spit out this gigantic resume, because Washington is so out of touch with us right now, right? So a working class teacher or whatnot, why should we hate on her and say she can't run for Congress because you ain't done all this and this in your local community because you ain't had time to?
Let me just correct you. I don't think she's saying, hey, run your resume. Right? I think she's saying, hey man, what's something impactful that you've done to impact this community that will give you some insight into what you're going to be able to do in the future. And if that's not what she said, I think that's what the question should be. Go ahead.
Okay, yeah, so I have been the co-coordinator of the Savannah Black Heritage Festival for 13 years. I sat on the board of Reform Georgia to actually decrease the criminalization of marijuana statewide. I sat on the board of Girls on the Run, which was to encourage young women to actually be active and healthy and body positivity. And then from there, I was also the person who brought 9 to 5 Georgia back to Savannah, where we had a meeting for 1 week, and they asked if we could set up 30 members to bring their chapter back, and I got 60. And 9 to 5 Georgia has been here since 2018, and I was the state director of that organization after that organizing. And with Black Voters Matter, myself and Coco Poppy, Mrs. James, and the former Mayor Otis Johnson were the first ones to contact them to bring them to engage with Wanda Mosley to the Savannah. And so a lot of these organizations, these national organizations that you see show up, have shown up through us or through me or some of my friends' work or my network. And then also I was the first woman to graduate from Georgia's Windlass Academy in 2015.
Thank you, Amanda, for running down the resume. We definitely appreciate it. There is I'm sorry, brother, I did mean to go ahead. Excuse me, and we can keep it down in the back.
Oh, yes, sir.
What I did in my community, I am a member of the VFW. We do a lot. I am a member of the NAACP, but I also was the chairman for the housing committee for the NAACP. We stay in the community. I stay in the community. Stay organizing, stay out and doing stuff. Event coordinator for the Democratic Party of Camden, Wounded Warrior Regiment, chairman for I am the commissioner for the Consolidated Housing Authority. I ran for State House in 2024, and from 2024 up until right now, I have not stopped knocking on doors, talking to residents in our community, making sure they have exactly the things they need. I go to City Hall, the county, and I address the issues with them. Make sure and work across the aisle to make sure that the citizens in our community have the things that they need and their voice to speak for them. That's what I did.
First of all, let me thank everybody for their service and your impact on your communities. And thank you for running. Like Ms. Greer said, like Ms. Williamson said, this is a sacrifice. And I want to thank you guys for putting yourself out there and doing it for us. All right, I had 1, 2, 3, then 4, 5, 6. Y'all remember y'all numbers? 7, 1, let's go.
All right, how would you advocate for increased federal funding for mental health services without placing additional burden on consumers seeking care?
That last part.
Without adding additional burdens to consumers seeking care.
Did someone raise their hand? Okay, well, mental health is a big crisis. When I was in Jessup on Monday, they were really saying that most of our local jails and their federal prison also gets filled with folks who are transient with mental health issues, but they know this is the fastest way that they can actually get medicine and what's called free housing and housing. And I think it's a budget issue, right? Because what we will do is give a whole lot of money for drug use and drug addiction, but we will ignore mental health. And so I think it's just us advocating for those types of services and not allocating dollars for very narrow, very specific rehab issues. And so they got, there's a local organization in Jessup called Anchor that got a significant amount of money from the city, like $1 million, but that money can only be used for drug rehab, when the problem is mental health. And so you actually have to make sure you advocate correctly and say, this is the problem, here's the data and the science behind it, and this is why this money should be allocated for it. So I think what we do horribly in this country is that part. Look at the data, make sure we're allocating the money, or going to find the money where it's used to. Like, we don't need another prison. We need diversion programs. We need more therapists. We need more counselors.
Along similar lines, I actually met with the director of the Savannah Pride Center yesterday, and he told me about a program they have for queer and trans people who come in and they need counseling services. And they give on a sliding scale, it's $0 to $5, depending on how much money you have. And he said one of the things that would help them out the most is they can get some grants to provide more services to people. And so I think what we're getting at is how do we partner with nonprofits and other organizations who are already out doing the work, engaging with at-risk communities who really need that kind of support.
Okay. And Ms. Williamson.
How quick I can do this. I am a federal grant reviewer for at least 4 federal agencies since 2018, 2019. SAMHSA is one of them, Substance Abuse Mental Health Administration. I worked for Georgia Department of Behavioral Health and Developmental Disabilities for 10 years. My office was at Georgia Regional Hospital. So I do understand mental health. I do understand addictive diseases and developmental disabilities from being in that space for a very long time. So if you send me to Congress, working with those federal level organizations, I understand that funds. The problem is that when it's time for the budget, they decide on the annual budget, federal budget. It's depending on where fundings are going, and they're not shifting funds to public health. They're not shifting funds to the Department of Health and Human Services, which is the bigger mother of all those social service type programs that actually touch the lives of people. So we would just have to continue to fight that they push funding toward those organizations,
Yes, ma'am.
so that we can support the state.
Yes,
And
ma'am.
provide-
We're gonna have to move on because we have 7 more questions and we don't have.
That's a good one.
You can leave, Ms. Hollowell. You have somewhere to be tonight.
Catch me outside.
All right. Anybody else wanna?
Oh, I thought you had 7 more questions written down. Let's have it.
No. Go ahead.
Me?
Yes, sir.
Okay. This is the primary, we know that. We're in the friendly room, we know that. But this is the first congressional district. This isn't the second congressional district. We got all the Democratic voters, we can rely on Democrats to win. To everybody on this stage, whoever come out the primary, what is your plan? Because you want to have to reach out to independents and Republicans. Yes, can I appeal to this Democratic voters? Chatham County and Lincoln County, those are the blue counties. Everything else is pink or deep red. So my question to everybody, whoever comes out of this primary, because this district can be won.
Yes, it can.
And it may be Jim Kingston or Candace Taylor or whoever.
Yeah.
What are your plans to appeal to farmers who need Republican?
Right.
You got military veterans who need Republican. What is your plan besides this? This is easy. But when things get hot, what is your plan to appeal to the independents now?
Okay. Appeal to more conservative voters.
Yeah.
Ms. Green.
Okay, I'm gonna be very brief.
Independent.
Right, exactly. I'm gonna be very brief. The bottom line is, I've been reaching across the board anyway, and that's what you're gonna have to do. You gotta be willing, if they say they're Republican, still have a conversation with them. Engage them. You'll be surprised. They're more like you than they are against you, okay? They really are. So I've been reaching across the board, and you said military, just said another. And you know what? I resonate with the military because I was military, and I'm able to explain to them. And some laws is being put in place to take away our benefits. So I know how to reach across the line. You see, I was a trial lawyer, so I knew I had to make my argument. So I know how to make an argument, okay? Also, I will let people know what's going on, and I will listen to them, ask them what do they want. But I know how to reach across the board and bring in independents, bring in Republicans, because I've been bringing Republicans and independents. So George, we'll vote for you. We like your stand. We like what you're doing. So I know how to reach out.
Don't hurt him, Ms. Green.
All right.
Don't hurt him. Thank you, sir. Brother, go ahead. I'm sorry.
What I would do is what I'm already doing. I don't display everything that I do, but I'm already doing it. I've been doing it for so long. I live in Camden County, so I have to do it. It's not something that, what would I do? No, I have to work across the aisle in order to get things done because everything is red. Now we're talking about endorsements and stuff. I've gotten endorsements from them. You haven't seen me put them out there because we're in a Democratic primary. But I'm going to use an example this morning. I went to Mike Collins' thing they had this morning out there. I got a text message saying, hey, you know, this. I go in there with all the red hats. By the time that it was over with, I get at the end of there, and I'm talking about red hats coming to me and like, hey, I've been watching what you've been doing in Camden County, and you are a straightforward man, and guess what I'm doing? I'm crossing over and I'm voting for you.
So I'm a Pat, and this isn't necessarily a red district, it's a non-voting district. And I believe there are enough Democrats who did vote and didn't vote, independents, and people who voted for Donald Trump but realized they didn't get anything they voted for to swing the district. What it's going to take is a coordinated county by county grassroots canvassing effort to get out to those people. We have the data, we know who voted and who didn't vote. We actually have to go to their houses and talk to these people.
So
you have to have a committee in every single county.
So you're saying I'm gonna stand on my democratic principles, I'm gonna appeal to the independents and the people who have been locked out of voting, and I'm gonna grab those people that are turned off by Donald Trump and his policies.
Yeah. So I don't think you said stand on the Democratic block. I take issue with that. I campaigned in all 15 counties, and I have never once swayed from my Democratic principles. Democratic principles is not the problem. Our policies are popular. It's our messaging. The last time we ran someone that wasn't from the South, found out they were from the South, got 38%. So if you vote a California liberal, just brand progressive ideas, or a Pennsylvania liberal or Oklahoma liberal, you're not going to win. It's point blank, period. Patty Hewitt got 38% running on the same ideas.
All right, we're back to WWE.
Good. I would like to. So, first of all, my background gets me a foot in the door. Because I'm a West Point grad, I was an infantry officer, and that doesn't win anybody over, but that lets me get a sentence in. And the next thing that I tell them is that we have got to make some really big changes in this country. We're talking about government level changes. I'm talking about Citizens United to get money out of our political system. And that is a message that resonates very, very strongly with people. We talked about non-voting. This is a non-voting district. A lot of young folks in this district who have not been showing up. And I've reached those people where they are. And a lot of people don't want to talk about it, but social media is a very important part of a campaign strategy in 2026. And I'm crushing it on social media. I'm getting 1.5 million views every month. I've raised 60 grand off social media, small dollar, over 650 donors. I've been in this race for a little over 2 months. No political experience at all. I've built all of that. I've built all of that because I've got a message that resonates very strongly. Mr. McCord was right. It is a messaging problem. I figured out how to do the messaging, and I'm reaching these folks. I've signed up 150 volunteers for my campaign. People who have never even voted before, knocking doors for me.
All right.
Look at the number. Look at the number of young people that are there.
It's Mr. McCord. I hear you.
This man here.
Yes, he did.
This man here, right here with the gray shirt. Yes.
I'm not an expert in political science, but you have the Congress, and you have the House of Representatives, you have the Senate, and then you have the districts, and then you have congressmen. My question is, how would, on this level, how would someone make a difference and get a bill passed? House of Representatives and the Senate. How would one, whether it be Democrat or Republican, how would an individual in each district make a difference and see that bill go up into a Senate vote?
So let's say they enter into a space where they're in the minority of Congress, right?
We're not talking about that. We're not talking about that.
But if we do, right? How do you actually get something done in those type of circumstances? Which I think is a very valid question. Because, okay. All right, Mr. McCoy, you want to go first?
Yeah, I do.
No WWE?
No, I'm good. I think you have to write good bills and you have to identify the problems. Because the problems in rural Georgia aren't just rural Georgia problems. They're the same in rural South Carolina. They're the same in rural Kentucky. They're the same in rural Pennsylvania. They're the same in all these rural places. Healthcare access. So you partner with Republicans and Democrats, bipartisan bill to get stuff passed. But if you're pushing these overly progressive ideas, you're going to turn off.
Let me cut in right quick, because I think you may be on something. Was Obamacare, was that not impactful for rural Georgia? that needed it, who actually said they liked their health care, but
Again.
didn't even know it was a law.
Again, well, that's the problem. People think Affordable Care Act and Obamacare are different. I've heard it and seen it.
Yeah, that's what I said.
But,
So you put up a good bill, right?
yeah, so you know how many laws there for that bill?
How many?
Zero.
It never runs over.
That's what I'm saying.
Because, but see, that's the different issue, is because a black man beat two white candidates and put up that bill.
Okay.
If that was a white president that put that bill up, we would be having this conversation.
Listen,
Go down.
I'm sorry. Mr.
Daniels. I think our target messaging is wrong. It is completely wrong. I'm gonna go a different way with this. We talk across the aisle. We know we have to collaborate. We know we have to work together in order to pass the bills. But I believe that we need to do a better job selling it to the people first. And if we do a better job selling it to the people first, it wouldn't be no problem because that's where the power comes from. And we gotta start by giving our power back to our people and letting them know that we're speaking for them.
So educate people on what you're doing before you do it,
Exactly.
right? Get them on board.
Yes.
Okay, I like it. Anybody else?
Yeah.
Joey? I'm sorry, Joey has an
So to find, so there is multiple stages of the bill, right? You gotta get it written, passed, and then you gotta implement it. Big problem is implementing bills. We had a lot of legislation passed under the Biden administration, but everyone said Democrats are terrible at selling stuff. That's one big thing I did for my community was try to let people know. I'm a political science major, so I try to let them know what these bills actually did, go through all this complicated language and how they could benefit from them. But I don't think so. I don't think the issue though is, policies are too progressive or not. If you get down to the nitty gritty and stop talking about all these, identity politics issue, people agree on a lot of stuff, like paid family leave. That's 80% of Americans agree on that. There's no reason why we shouldn't have these things. We don't have them because people mention money in politics. Like Citizens United, we're not going to fix that. We're not going to be able to overturn Citizens United because it requires a constitutional amendment, which means we Republican support. So it's kind of a balancing act.
Okay.
Just adding something to the conversation. I would just say though, you can't, my social work training taught me and my public health training taught me, there will be times we're gonna make tough decisions that's not gonna be aligned with what people want. So you're gonna have to be honest with people and communicate with them, but you don't be what I'm not doing right now. I'm being on this campaign, telling people what they want to hear. I'm a person too. I'm going through HELL just like everybody else. But I'm not going to tell people what they want to hear. But I think that people expect for us to listen, to be transparent, and to be accountable. And we also got to consider that there are 14 congressmen that's in the state of Georgia and 2 senators. And then you got all of the state representatives and senators that takes up the other parts of the district. So there's going to be a lot of conversations going on, and you're going to have some really strong negotiation skills and know how to talk to people and treat people. Everybody is heard, but there's one final decision made. It might not be in their best interest, but it's tough.
How do all these people come together?
I hope they come together.
One person is going to answer this one, and we're going to move on. Go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, there's multiple caucuses within there, and Georgia actually has a caucus of their Democratic congressional representatives. I mean, they don't get to work a lot with the Republican representatives, but I think it's just because they have a policy difference. But the reality is this: we would be freshmen in Congress.
Yes.
What we're vying for is to get great appointments on good committees. What we're vying for is to be co-sponsors of bills that make sense for our district as well as the whole country, and making sure that we are helping with those votes in order to get it passed. And so we should be in community with a lot of our statesmen, our folks who are before us, and making sure we understand what is actually going on and where is good policy happening. Because someone has asked me that a few times, and I'm like, I'm not here to write new policy, I'm here to go get the dead policy that died. That it was good policy that's died in the administration, and so we need to make sure that we're supporting that and working together.
We're going to have to move on.
Yeah.
But there will be some time to talk.
Can I just expound on 3 topics just for?
No, sir. Not right now.
Okay.
I'm Sonia, I'm from Brunswick Indivisible, so I cannot support my sister people. But I live here now, so I'm being fine here. But I'm still a co-founder of Brunswick Indivisible, everything that's the center. Democrats, that the party itself has become part of the problem. That insider endorsement, donor networks, and institutional gatekeeping are drowning out the people's voice. Can you give us a concrete example when you choose people over party? And what will you do differently than the establishment that came before you? Because we need to be the people, is how we get people to the polls.
All right, we're going to start off with Mr. Zerker.
So, so one thing that I'm already doing, that our Democratic leaders, a lot of them are guilty of, I'm not accepting any corporate PAC money or APAC money or billionaire money. That's even, I know it's a bigger problem in the Republican Party, but it's a problem in the Democratic Party too. There's a reason why these people aren't fighting for us like they should be, and it's money. Okay, that's one thing.
Yes, sir. Anybody else want to answer that?
I think that, the Democratic Party needs to come together. You know how the Republicans came out with a Project 2025?
Oh.
We should have written our plan, our courses of action, and implemented. But see, they're implementing, the other side is implementing what they wrote years ago. And we're sitting back on the sideline looking like, what happened? It hit us so fast, you know? So I think we as a Democratic Party, we've got to come together, look at the policies that we want to put in place, and make sure that they will fly with the public. And I think we got to...
Real quick, I want to make sure, pose your question one more time. I want to make sure we stay on.
What I'm asking is, we are people power, like people that's on these streets that know kings. With Indivisible, we are the people, like we had our meeting today. Like the Democrat Party does not listen to us, and they do not care what we have to say. No matter how many streets we march on, no matter how many social media people we have that we follow, they do not care. Because they are a hierarchy, and they control things and they run things, and they like that neat pattern. And then they go and they endorse their candidates, because the primary is, this is a good candidate. But the thing is, when we get down to that runoff, the machine will be who comes out of this nomination. So we have to be with the machine. But we need people in this home that's for the people. Because like July the 1st last year, we went to every 14 congressional districts. We went into Indivisible done that. We the ones that saved the budget partners. We the ones that Brunswick that kept our hospital open. We the ones on these streets doing the work. But when we go to the party for help, no, we ain't nothing.
So you're saying how are they going to be more of a partner with you?
Yes, are you going to be for the people? Or are you going to be for the party?
For the people.
Go ahead, bro.
Well, I would say I don't have a single endorsement from any Democratic establishment politician, and I famously took a lot of flack because I gave an interview and I said I wish I could have run as an independent. Because there's a lot of things about the Democratic Party that bother me, like you said. Especially the national level politicians getting involved in races and swaying things. And I think really a lot of the issues that we have in this country are because when Democrats have power, they have not exercised it well. They have not gone to fixing the root problems, which are really economic problems that are holding a lot of people back. So
and I think to his point, I think that's something that resonates.
And listen, we all Democrats, but we both Democrats too. Our voice matters just as much as those. But we are Democrats. But we don't get treated like we
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. All right, we're gonna do one more, and then I'm gonna have to move on to another question. Thank you.
As someone that's dealt with this on multiple levels, with the parties, I feel like an outcast, to be honest with you. I feel like a straight outcast. I feel like I'm not invited, I'm not welcome amongst the party, and every time I go, coming from Camden County, coming to Chatham County, I'm gonna try to keep this professional as possible. But coming from Camden County, I kid you not, I swear that I'm a bastard ass child. That's how I'm treated in Chatham County. And every single door is closed. Every single door is closed. Every single individual party located, I don't care, it's just multiple all across. They treat you like you're a straight outsider. We are the same people. We are the same people going after the same exact thing. I don't care what political affiliation you from. If we have the same ideals and the same goals, and that's to elect a Democrat, we should align. So when she's in Indivisible, and if they're doing things in the direction to get a Democrat elected, then guess what? We should align somewhere. Everyone has their ideals and a way to get there, but at the end of the day, it is to get a Democrat elected. So we got to unite. Because we are divided as I don't know what.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Oh, one second. All right. I had you, right? I had
Yes.
you and you last, right? All right. Go ahead, sir.
I have 3 questions actually.
Wait, we only got one. We only have one.
Okay, this is an easy one. Are any of you prepared to pass legislation to stop support of Israel?
Okay.
Yeah, use your paddles.
All right. I think we got a clear answer on that. I don't even.
Can I add something on that?
You want to?
It's not just,
Okay.
I don't want to just stop supporting Israel, you know, of course, no more bombs to Israel, but it goes farther than that. I mean, it really was, they committed genocide. They need to be held accountable for their actions, I think. If it was any other country, we'd be treated differently. I think we need to sanction Israel. I mean, there's your Israeli government until they come to a 2-state agreement with Palestinians. It's sure we should not be funding these terror wars where children get massacred.
Has the United States government ever sanctioned an ally?
No.
We have sanctioned, we have sanctioned Biden sanctioned Israeli settlers who were taken in the West Bank. That was a small step.
I do want to preface this answer. I am all for Israel being able to defend themselves. So I do not want to cut Israel's defense. If we're supporting their defensive weaponry.
We pay for it.
Yes. I know
But
that.
we pay for it.
And I said that.
Why do we need to pay for it?
Hold on, let me finish. I'm all for providing Israel with defensive capabilities.
Our money.
Yes.
Okay.
But I do not think we should fund a dime for all this capabilities. If they want to start wars, they go into places they can defend themselves. But defensively, they are a critical ally in the region. We fund Saudi Arabia, we fund Qatar, we fund all the other Middle Eastern countries that are aligned with us. So defensively, I don't have a problem with funding Israel. And we also need to realize there's a huge Jewish population in this district that feels like one.
Excuse me. I appreciate it. Okay. Anybody else want to comment on that? I'm gonna have one more comment. We're gonna move on to the next question.
Yeah, I mean, well, saying that you'll fund somebody's defense and not their offense demonstrates a fundamental misunderstanding of how military operations work. Because if not, let me finish, sir. Because first of all, it's our money funding their stuff when they provide health care for all their citizens. And if they did not have those defensive weapons like the Iron Dome, then maybe they wouldn't be picking fights all across the Middle East with all kinds of other people.
So are we going to defund all of our allies?
Why should we be giving them weapons for free? Why should we be spending money?
Again, are we going to defund all of our allies? Are we
What
going to
other allies?
This report has a WWE again, okay? I think that the question, who else?
This is elected up.
It's a genocide.
I literally said that their offensive capabilities are.
All right, we're gonna move on. We're gonna move on. Go ahead.
Thank you so much. My question for everyone on the stage is, Buddy Carter did recently do some work to try and bring business into Bryan County. It failed. He tried to bring a corporation that would damage this area environmentally, and it would sink down property value. My question for every single candidate here is, should you be elected to the Congress? Should you be elected to Congress? What business or sector of this economy would you work to bring for the people of Bryan County, since West Wing was a failure?
He's thinking about the nuclear plant, and on paper, it sounded like a good idea until you started digging into the weeds of it, and they were underqualified as all. I think we need to expand all of the Hyundai's already here, because better works here. So we need those suppliers in Bryan County and outside of our county. If you look at upstate South Carolina, when the Continental's closed, disaster's off. BMW came in 92, now $105 are added in that economy or completely linked to BMW. So we need to expand on the automotive, because it's already here for better works. I think we need to revitalize our paper plants in Liberty County, and also add added value products like making the park over here, making stuff in Bryan County. That's right.
Okay.
You know what, I think that we need to talk to the people. And what do the people in Bryan County want? I would not unilaterally make a decision to bring plant A or B in here without first consulting with the people and those in authority. That's what we need to do. We need to work together.
I agree with you.
Yeah.
And I would say whatever corporations we want to bring in here, we should give them some kind of incentives to encourage collective bargaining. Because we need people, we need good paying jobs, and that's how people get good paying jobs. So government incentives.
Great point.
You can also argue for community benefits agreements, right? Because at the same time, we say we don't want bad corporations. We have the same people saying we want jobs. So we also have to reconcile that and what that looks like. Thank you guys in the back. I'm glad you're having a great time. So we have to reconcile that, you know, with the idea of how we bring, I would like to think about how do we bring more sustainable businesses? How do we bring more future products and like even like EV or something like that? But right now, we're not being creative with what we bring. And Buddy Carter he has no morals. He is always going to bring and side with big business and bring always the worst of the worst.
All right.
Again, talk to the people. This is what they want.
Now, we would basically do a study before any of that happened. You know, we'll make sure that everything is quick sounding and to a T. But at the same exact time, when we bring anything in here, we, like you said, we have to tie it to something. But at the same time, we have to put securities in as well. So just like what happened with the paper mill over here, and just automatically shut down. We need to build like security. So if we know these things are happening, we got the data saying, hey, this company is about to go down. The implementation from the beginning should be signed. When this starts to happen, we pick up on it and then we start doing crossover job training or job skills to the nearest job that identifies with those corporations. Those are the things that we need to implement before we allow them to even come on any facilities or any property.
Okay. So community benefits agreements. Also, I don't really know what the name of that would be, but I think it's a great idea. Being able to be sound alarm ahead of time, right? When you know it's going to happen. So try to get those people in different sectors. Our landscape analysis, y'all know she's political scientist. We're going to move on to the last.
Wait a minute. I asked the question of all the candidates. I didn't hear all the candidates. I'm still waiting for an answer from Dr. Stokes and
Well, listen, I'm gonna do that for you, just because you asked. Dr. Stokes.
Yes. Okay. Thank you. Just like Brother Charles said, that we need to study. You don't not go into communities, you don't go into states, so you don't go into these places and say, even if you are the congressman or whoever you are, and say, this is what you're gonna do. You have to ask the taxpayers. These are people who could make this county thrive and survive. So you have to go to the taxpayers, but you also have to work with the city councilmen. You gotta work with the county. You gotta work with the state and the state representatives. And then also, again, listen to the voice of the people. So my approach would be to respond to the data, but still let the county officials decide and the people decide what is best for Bryan County and how the government can come and support it. I'm sorry I don't throw those big terms out, acts and all that. I only speak at the people level. I don't know how to speak above that, okay? So I don't have a name for you. I'm just...
All right, who else did you want?
I got it.
Joe.
So one thing, again, I do think we should ask the people. One thing that always struck me as a congresswoman having courage was when AOC, they tried to build an Amazon in her district. And she said, no, I don't want that. That showed a lot of courage to me. I would do the same kind of thing. If I thought a business was going to come in here and harm that's going to harm any of my constituents, I would advocate for not to get it. But also, I want y'all to decide. I think that also, we can do that with stuff like better constituent services. As your congressman, I would have a ton of money through, not for myself, but it's called a members allowance, open up districts, all this, whatnot.
Okay.
I will let y'all vote, and hear y'all voices and see what y'all want. And that's just not for Bryan, that's for all the, that's for
Give
all
me a
of this
second.
first district.
I'm sorry, hey, people in the back, if you could. People in the back. Oh, they
Excuse me. Thank you.
Thank y'all so much.
Step out.
We're trying to.
Thanks, Ryan.
Yeah. Thank you so much. All right.
Is it my turn?
Mr. Wilson, please.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I'm going to kind of echo some other people's statement here, and that is that I don't think it's the job of a U.S. Congressman to bring a business into an area. I think it's the job of the area to attract the kind of business that they want, and then go to the federal government and say, look, we need some support with X, Y, Z infrastructure upgrade. Maybe we need a new exit on 95 like they just put in Belfast, Keller, or something like that. So that's how I would approach that.
And if I just piggyback on that, then maybe there's a regional commission that comes together. People that understand economics, right? And understand what's viable in certain areas.
It's called the Savannah Development. It's a renewal, develop renewal authority. But you also have to be honest with yourselves. These are counties and local city councils who are bringing these businesses in, and they're looking at it for a profit for their county. And so this is why you're seeing a lot of folks here in the first district start making guidelines around data centers. Because at the end of the day, they know they're going to ask for a data center to come and help them pay those bills that are unpaid because they don't want to raise taxes.
And here's the thing with data centers, right? They're coming, right? All data centers aren't bad. You may be looking at campuses, you may be looking at centers. Regardless of the issue, it's just like Ms. Holloway said, you have to be looking at community benefits agreements, right? What is the community going to get out of this? How are you going to reinvest?
Well, there's no benefit to data center in Southwest. We have a water problem.
Well, okay. Moving on to the next question.
Yeah. Taking under consideration what this president is doing now, with the war, receiving money from foreign government, sons getting contracts with their family and all this good stuff. When the Democrats take back the House of Representatives in November, and you are elected to the House of Representatives, and an impeachment process is brought up, I just need to see happen.
Day one. I'll bring it.
All right. I think that is a good space to leave off on. Agreement on the panel and a great powerful discussion on how we're going to move forward. Yes, sir.
Yeah, I'd like to make a comment about 3 topics. You can discuss it or don't discuss it.
So, what I'm going to do, I'm going to close it out. And they're still going to be here for you to engage. Okay? So, hey, my name is Edward Gresham. I appreciate you guys for letting me come and moderate this space. Thank you for coming out. This is a discussion. Thank you all. Please,